A little bit rough here as we move into game number 2. We'll see if things turn around. Allegiance, they're up 1-0. And Envy looking for the win.
Looking for that detonate for the secure, and it's going to go to Allegiance. It's stolen. That might have been Incon.
No follow-up from the rest of Allegiance. Oh, there comes the Kraken. It's going to find 4. Lassiz takes out Panda.
Nice shots from Oceans as well. What the hell was that?
Picks and bans ready coming at you. Left side of the map will be the person with the first pick, and we'll see it.
So we saw in that last clip, actually, the way Incon was yelling there, the way Incon and Weekend, they play together, they're very vocal players.
Yeah, very much so.
Like, he just kept going in the last game, and I expect EnVyUs to not allow Incon to play this Athena.
Yeah, I mean, the Athena was a big part of what Allegiance was able to succeed with, whether it was the taunt into Lassiz's damage or the taunt into anybody else, and there will be no taunts allowed, and then Envy takes off the Athena.
And off of that, there's still a lot of aggressive supports that Incon will lean towards, potentially the Sobek as well. Eonic favoring the Sobek, so that might be a very highly contested support pick. Giannis not allowed yet again onto Lassiz. He makes a lot of aggressive plays on Giannis, and EnVyUs recognizes that, respects him.
Now, I still maintain that Shadow Nightmare probably one of the best Giannis's in the world, but Lassiz takes a lot of, whether he takes a lot of pages out of Shadow Nightmare's book or they just happen to be on the same page, you see a lot of these aggressive portals coming around the towers and just finding these unstable vortexes that you didn't really expect. So a lot of creativity on Lassiz's Giannis is going to enable EnVyUs to just avoid it and take it off the table. But Naja will be a selection for Team Allegiance as we head into game number 2.
Naja is a good answer to Zeus specifically. Whenever the ultimate is used by Zeus, if you can delay the detonate or delay the shield chain lightning follow-up, or if you can catch him during the shield but before the chain lightning, then that's a huge initiation for Allegiance.
Yeah, there's a lot of windows that you can take advantage of when it comes to Zeus. The Sobek will be selected for Envy, so Eonic very strong on that Sobek. He's proven to be one of the better alligator pilots around.
Especially paired up with Snoopy, the way they play the dual lane, they like to play aggressive. This will allow them to stay aggressive. Now with that, Incon has to figure out what position he wants to go. I'm leaning more towards the Kumbhakarna for Allegiance, especially if they have the Scylla middle.
Yeah, the Scylla was very important last game around, but we had the Athena taunted with it. How does Scylla set up outside of the Naja?
So there's the Kumbhakarna, which you can do the epic uppercut. You have the root. You have the sleepy time as well. There's a lot of setup available for Allegiance to get off the ultimate, and then you can just get off your own root. You can set yourself up.
That's true.
Yep.
A Wheelish going to be denied, as Allegiance already have their jungler picked out. They'll deny the junglers towards the other side. Want to make sure CycloneSpin doesn't have anything too strong. And the Hun Bats as well.
CycloneSpin played a Wheelish before in the solo lane, quite consistently at a very high level, so that ban is very nicely done by Allegiance, especially paired up with the Sobek when you get those constant knockups. And speaking of knockups, Bacchus is going to get banned from EnVyUs, not allowing that sort of aggression from Allegiance, but I'm expecting, like I mentioned, the Kumbhakarna.
Again, the Bacchus, that's a good knockup to enable Scylla to do what she does, as well as Naja gets in a good position off of a Bacchus belly bump. And then you've got Bacchus also, by banning the Wheelish, a Bacchus becomes a little bit more appropriate because you're not going to be yanked out of the air while you're trying to initiate. So Envy takes a hint from the bans and go ahead and they take Bacchus off the table for themselves, whereas Allegiance will empower Oceans on the Anhur.
The Anhur is a very good aggressive hunter here, taking more away from EnVyUs than anything else. And now with this Xbalanque pick for EnVyUs, it's leading me to believe that there's going to be a lot of attention into the dual lane because they want to position him with a few early kills, building that passive.
Is Rom playable? As far as legacy meta, I mean, he's had some changes.
We haven't seen it recently. A lot of other gods have been more favored. There's other aggressive gods that you can play in the 100 position earlier on. Rama's pretty good as long as you have the team around him to protect it. And like I mentioned, last pick for Allegiance is indeed going to be the Kumbhakarna.
Kumbhakarna that Aurora is very good on. You know, I mentioned the ROM because of Snoopy, but we got to mention the Nemesis. This god has been relatively abysmal until we saw a couple of wins coming out, specifically from Captain Twiggy over there. What can we expect from CycloneSpin on the Nemesis?
Just counter aggression. Whenever Allegiance initiates, that's the play that EnVyUs is waiting for. They're going to take advantage of Incon and weaken playing aggressive, and they're going to counter that with the Sobek initiation and the Nemesis ulti.
EnVy currently lead above Allegiance by 1 game. Allegiance have 6 and 15. If they win this next one, everything's going to be tied up between ALG and EnVy. Is it in the cards? We'll take a look.
ENVy on his own. Will they get the blue from the toggle here? A big time ultimate from Stealth Connects.
They've only gotten 1 so far. CycloneSpin finds a double. They're going to rush right in. Cyclone all the way to the back line. That's going to be a triple kill. He's going right for it. He's got the Quadra if he picks the right target. Quadra kill. Looking for the big one. And it's going to be a penta.
Cyclone's back, and he's better than ever. Looking for the wins here. He's on Nemesis. There's just something to me about Cyclone on these assassins. We saw him move over to the hunter role, and he was doing well, and then got a pentakill on an assassin. Now you put him in a position where assassins are the norm. It's just exciting to watch. I just enjoyed watching CycloneSpin on the Naja despite not able to find the win. Just his positioning, always wanting to try and find the flank, always trying to outplay the opposition. CycloneSpin is just an exciting player.
He's a very mechanically gifted player that takes advantage of the solo lane advantage. The way he used to play in the solo lane and the hunter position was he would look for these plays when it's just 1v1. He would out-farm you, look for an aggressive play just to poke you down one wave, poke you down the next wave, maybe get a kill or force you to back earlier on, take a buff from there, take your boars, whatever the case was, and then he would slowly transition this into rotations where he would play the cleanup assassin. However, now playing in the jungle position, it's a little bit different than what he's used to playing clean up. Now he has to be that initiator, and he doesn't have the same amount of farm that he would coming out of the solo lane or the hunter position.
And that's the biggest change that CycloneSpin has to adjust to, specifically on an item-dependent god like Nemesis. Really not going to expect to see much of Cyclone until later on in the game.
But they're still going to play regressive regardless. Nemesis, red pod, the Zeus as well, having the soulstone and the purple pod. On the flip side, however, Allegiance also looking to position themselves to play really aggressive as they both have potions of their own.
Now Zeus here in the mid lane, piloted by KikiSoCheeky. This is a god that we've seen a lot of in Season 3. Just so much burst damage, and the turnaround potential is very, very strong.
Yeah, it looks like Lassiz is able to clear the mid wave first. He's going to start the right side mid Harpies. We'll see which of the mid laners will get it.
Weekend's going to go ahead and pick up the Ellies, and it looks like Kiki will slink off of the right side Harpies, so they go the way of Allegiance.
Respecting the rotation out of Allegiance, their soul lane was getting pushed out a little bit. Nemesis level 2 in the soul lane, not the best jungler you want to have in those little 2v2 skirmishes.
Right.
Allowing Allegiance to take full control of that. Those ring bounces are doing so much damage.
Purification importantly used by Kiki, gets rooted out. Could have found some follow-up damage, but the Purification keeps the mid lane safe for the moment. But definitely keep in mind that Allegiance will be keeping in mind that Purification timer.
I got so excited there because I thought that was about to be first blood. I was expecting the crush follow-up from there, first blood for Lassiz, benefiting off of the Soulstone purple pot. That would have put Allegiance in a really good spot. But regardless, like you mentioned, the Purification is down. Now they're going to look for a Sash Root Crush combo. And this is why Allegiance is zoning in this position, because they know that if they can zone Kiki out, that he won't be getting this experience. And he doesn't want to die, obviously, in response.
Yeah, Kiki just has a single health pot available to him, whereas on the other side, you've got a number of options when it comes to healing up. Weekend pops his last HP pot, but don't forget, he definitely will have the burst healing available to him thanks to the passive of Naja. So Allegiance off to a very good start in this mid lane specifically.
Playing very aggressive in the laning phase, now able to rotate. Looks like Weekend wants to make a play on level 5 onto Eonic and Snoopy. We'll see who he catches out. He doesn't have Blink, just has the Purification, as it looks like they're not going to look for a play, just waiting it out.
Weekend changes his mind about changing his mind. There's a nice Mez. Gets knocked up while trying to aggress, and the Sash will be off the mark. Beautiful play by Eonic to play Disruptor and stop the aggression.
EnVyUs not taking advantage of the rotation by pushing the mid wave, and this will allow Lassiz to get even more experience right now. CycloneSpin still not level 5, and looks like underneath was Weekend, but not going to find a Sash onto Kiki.
A lot of dominance over there in the solo lane as well. You can see Ravana just going absolutely hard. Omega sitting level 5, so is his opposition, but he's been pushing Mattypocket underneath the tower, and he's able to rotate and pick up these elementals. So one for Allegiance pick up the first rotation, EnVy pick up the second.
And Allegiance also picking up the right side mid-harpies as well as the lefts, I believe. So a little bit of an advantage for Allegiance. Omega is in a position to be able to bully Matty in this. He has more potions. He has the passive that it gives him that shield. So every time he trades off autos, he's gaining more shields, and he's out-trading Matty in response. Once it gets a little bit later in the laning phase, then Matty's going to be able to start taking over slowly but surely.
Quite a different story from last time around with the Sun Wukong, huh?
Quite a bit of different story. Luckily for EnVy, the ring bounces didn't connect, so they're able to secure their own speed buff.
Yeah, those ring bounces, Weekend very well versed on this Naja, just waiting for an opportunity, knowing that Cyclone's going to come and check the mid-harpies. Aurora shows his face. Or excuse me, Kumbhakarna shows his face. That's Incon. I'm just so used to seeing Aurora in that Kumbha, man.
Yeah, Roy is very comfortable playing these setup gods, whether it's the Ares with the chains. You know, the last set we saw, the no escape under the mid tower was just so well done. So the way Weekend's playing this game right now, he's prioritizing these mid harpies over his own speed, which will allow him on the next rotation of speed buff for EnVyUs, he's going to look to potentially invade that because he knows that his speed won't be up for a little while anyway. So this is a little opening that EnVyUs is going to be exposed for.
CycloneSpin will pick up the left-hand Harpies, no problem, along with Kiki. And that'll help the Zeus stay a little bit more relevant. Gold all even against the two mid laners. Actually, Lassiz is up by about, well, 30 gold now. It was more interesting than when it was 2. I like to see players that close.
Weekend falling behind a little bit experience-wise because of just standing still for a while for those right-side mid-harpies. He wasn't able to get a lot of farm. Falling behind on a Naja is not the god that you want to fall behind on. Right now it's only a level, but if he's going to hold on to those right-side mid-harpies the way he did the last rotation, then if he doesn't hit level 9 when Cyclone does, then that team fight will definitely favor EnVyUs. So that's something that Weekend has to watch out for.
Nemesis has a little bit of wiggle room, though, no? Wouldn't a level 6 Naja be just as exciting as a level 7 Nemesis?
It would be pretty even in that regards, but once it hits the level 13 to 12 mark, that's when it starts to show more visibly into team fights. That ultimate is going to hurt a little bit harder than the Naja ultimate would. Yeah,
the Nemesis really looking to just get amass levels to go ahead and help her team succeed by way of the assists. A lot of times in the jungle we see just slash lines that look largely like supports almost.
And Snoopy's playing very aggressive 1v1, knowing that everybody is visible on the mini-map for his team. With the golden bows finished off of both Hunter Xbalanque's, branching bows hurts a lot. As long as he's able to successfully not get impaled by the Anhur, he'll win the in-hand trades.
Purification chased out by Weekend. That's exactly what he came for. So Kiki just a little bit more susceptible to another gank. And CycloneSpin heads over to the right side and uses a couple of abilities onto the solo laner, ultimate included.
And now Mattypocket, he doesn't have teleport available. He's going to lose all this gold and experience as Omega's zoning him away from the wave. And now Omega's going to proxy between Tier 1 and Tier 2. Weekend's going to pick up the wave, which is very important. You don't want to have any sort of creeps die to the tower with nobody picking them up. Picking it up will allow him to catch up to CycloneSpin as well.
There's going to be a little bit of aggression onto the solo lane. But with Omega sitting level 9, a little bit different. But Incon from the back, ultimate forced out by Omega. Omega gets aggressive and just stands there. You can't beat me with 2, but maybe with 3. Lassiz showed up. Smooth kick to avoid the damage from Crush. And Omega's still ready to fight.
Unfortunately, Weekend was a little bit too far away to follow up. I'm surprised that Omega used his ultimate there instead of just popping the overhead kick for the immunity. It was a very telegraphed ability when Incon uses his root. It takes about 2 seconds to actually come down. And he expected Lassiz to be around the corner as well. So more importantly, getting closer to the tower was more important than using the immunity.
Yeah, I'm going to disagree with you, and I liked that play out of Omega. He uses the ultimate expecting the rotation from mid, so that when Scylla shows up, the overhead kick is available to avoid some of the damage, the more important damage coming to him by Lassiz's Scylla. So a smart play coming out from the Ravana.
It also helps when Weekend was a little bit further away. He wanted to get the wave. See, that was the issue. Weekend prioritized the wave over the kill onto Omega. You don't want to lose that golden experience. So Weekend getting that experience. Still a level behind on CycloneSpin, however, and like I mentioned before, the speed buff difference, Cyclone has speed buff. He's able to ping-pong between the right side of the map and the left. The left side mid-harpies are going to go into EnVyUs. Going to get plucked as Lassiz.
Dashing away, but ultimate used by Nemesis and largely fine.
So Lassiz actually used his 3 preemptively, knowing that he was going to be the only one around the corner. As soon as he gets plucked, lands out, now he goes into the safety of his tier 1. Good, safe recognition from Lassiz.
What a smart play. I was sitting here going, how did he dash so far away? Very well played by the mid lane on the side of Allegiance.
I think it lasts about 5 to 6 seconds, the Sentinel.
It gives you some vision as well. This time, obviously, just using the timer on it. Lassiz and we can meet up in the mid lane. Lassiz will go ahead back. You'll wait one more wave. The old one more wave.
Hashtag one more wave. Not even using his purification during that encounter. Lassiz recognizes the safety was at his advantage. So now we can, with his speed buff, just going to get the red buff. Lassiz not going to get any experience or gold out of this, but he's going to be able to pick it up on his way back towards the middle lane. Looking like he's starting the Lost Artifacts. Could see potentially some Doom Orb out of that.
Number of options that Lassiz has at his disposal to go from that option. So we'll see how it develops.
So he could go Chronos Pendant for the cooldowns, but depending on the way this game plays out, if you're expecting the Nasha to consistently engage for you along with the Kumbhakarna, then it wouldn't be a bad idea to go Chronos Pendant unless you want to just burst somebody down within 5 seconds, at which point Doom Orb would be the better option.
And that's what we saw out of the previous games this afternoon with the best on Scylla. He was building that Doom Orb as well. Scylla really just benefits from tons of power because her whole job is to eliminate you in the ultimate, right? And then carry on and find herself with multi-kills.
Speaking of carrying on, looking at Snoopy's build a little bit, he's known to go for a little different build ever since he transitioned back into the Hunter position. He likes to not pick up any Warrior Tabby or Ninja Tabby.
Yeah.
He likes to go for the Devil Gloves immediately after Golden Bow. We're more than likely going to see a lot of mobility coming out of him with either Fatalis, the Wind Demon as well.
Yeah, expect the Fatalis and the Wind Demon. Now, here's something interesting.
Or the Blood Shoryuken of Doom?
Yes.
Was it?
Yeah, the Blood Shoryuken of Doom, as Driver called it. Here's something interesting. So the Fatalis is picked up, largely because it has 10% movement speed, but also that passive is nice. Masamune also gives 10% movement speed, but also 50 power.
It's also
500 power.
It's also very expensive compared to the Fatalis. Eonic going to take a little bit of poke as he's forced to ultimate. There was going to be an ultimate from Incon if he wasn't careful.
Yeah, there's a number of options, but as far as Snoopy is concerned, expect to see the Fatalis. But right now, expect to see a dead Zeus, the 1-2 punch. Lassiz on top. That's first blood going the way of Allegiance. Now looking for the turnaround. Lassiz finds 2. That's the double kill for the mid laner. Turning around, deals half HP to Snoopy. And a roar Incon trying to set it up.
Not able to find the triple kill, however, forcing Snoopy out. Now, Incon not going to find the kill.
Lassiz. As quickly as Lassiz finds first blood, he finds a couple of more kills, and Snoopy finally answers back for Envy.
And that's a stack onto Snoopy's passive, giving him that 5 extra power that he needs to be able to win these little 1v1 exchanges. Allegiance capitalizing off of the 3-for-1 earlier on, getting a 10-minute Gold Fury.
Gold Fury going the way, as you said, to Allegiance. Very strong play, a couple of team fight kills, and an objective kill. Allegiance find themselves out 2,500 gold above Envy.
So like we mentioned the last game, at the 18-minute mark, EnVyUs was up about 1,000 gold. Now this time, Allegiance at the 10-minute mark, close to 11, are up about 2,000 to 2,500. This is where you have to ask yourself as EnVyUs, like, okay, what do we do to not lose any more gold? Because if we can keep this lead that Allegiance has at a flat line, then we'll be fine. And once it reaches 20-minute mark, that 2,500 gold lead becomes a lot less meaningful.
Right. So it's all about just staying the course, treading the water, making sure that whatever is done. As it gets later, we'll be okay. We just can't allow any more objectives to go that direction.
No more Gold Furies, no Invades as well. The experience lead for Allegiance is not that significantly high, except for Lassiz is 3 levels ahead of Kiki. Similar story to last game, the Scylla versus the Isis, and this time it's the Scylla versus the Zeus. Now, you could get away with going an under-leveled Isis, but you can't really get away with going an under-leveled Zeus.
Isis does a number of things. The silence, the stun ball, there's a lot of options for her to provide crowd control, and then, of course, you can drop down the circle of protection, whether it's to help out team fights, objectives, etc., etc., etc. The list of things that Isis can do is very long. When you look at Zeus, you go, okay, even if you're low, even if you're behind, you can drop the ultimate as area denial, and that's really about it. It's just short area denial and bursts of the ultimate and the shield to a lesser extent, but there's just not that much utility on the side of Zeus. He's all just, if you don't bring the noise, I mean, what really are you bringing?
And the issue for EnVyUs right now is the fact that their only initiation to set up the Zeus is the Eonic's pluck. that's their only real setup. And then obviously, like, maybe potentially Omega rooting somebody into place. So it's looking like Allegiance's favor. They have the Kumbhakarna, which can easily initiate.
The Kumbhakarna, which is piloted by Incon. I feel like after this game, I'm going to have to give a personal apology to Incon. I've called him a roar at least 5 times this series.
And look at this. Snoopy's going to engage, trying to get another stack on his passive. Oceans is playing the counter aggression, using his ultimate as Snoopy uses his Sanctuary. Still aggressing.
Incon from the back finds the root. Last hit going the way of Oceans. And now Legion's going to follow up. Root is good. Eonic half HP. And he's going to go even lower. There's Lassiz following up. Finds the hit. That's 5 for Allegiance and 4 for the mid lane.
Lassiz is on fire right now. He gets a 4th kill on the board. 0 deaths, 30 stacks onto his Doom Orb. Looks like Kiki wants to defend this tower, but he's in trouble. That's another 5th kill for Lassiz, and this tier 1 tower is going to go down for EnVyUs.
This is Lassiz's game, absolutely on fire. He's got 5 kills and nothing else, and he's 2,000 gold above his mid laner. The team is 4,000 gold up, and the mid lane is 2,000 gold up.
We were talking about momentum before, and he is feeling it right now. His blink is on cooldown right now. He's working on potentially a Soul Reaver right now. The way he's feeling himself out, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes straight for that, trying to get more burst on the table, making sure he gets the kill confirm onto his ultimate, resetting it constantly, winning that next team fight is so crucial.
And I love to see this slash line. 5-0-0 on the mid lane, 0-0-5 on the jungler. That is, in this day and age of Smite, that is what the meta has evolved into in this mid-jungle bond. You have to have this synergy. You have to lean on each other and expect the follow-up. Depend on the crowd control from the mid position. And with Weekend coming to the squad, I knew that it would work out in the long term, but the immediacy that we're seeing, this is, I wasn't expecting things to be this good this early.
Weekend provides the kind of utilitarian jungler support that Allegiance needs. They have technically 2 supports right now. It's Weekend and Incon right now, and this is what they need when you play, especially a hyper carry burst mage such as Scylla for Lassiz. You get the momentum early on. You make the aggressive shot calls coming out of Weekend and Incon, and now the rest of your team is following up. Ocean's even getting a 1v1 play earlier on onto Snoopy. Snoopy really wanted that stack earlier on.
Yes. Snoopy was definitely looking for it. That was a fun fight as well.
It was indeed.
Good sanctuaries, good ultimates.
The good thing about that also was the fact that the ultimate from Anhur was stopped immediately once the sanctuary was used. He wanted to try to make sure that he would get off in hands on maybe a different target or just run away.
Double players on Omega. There's the ultimate. He'll come down at about half HP. Lassiz this time not around, but
the crush is good.
Yes, he is! Yes, he is! Lassiz is definitely around. 6 kills from the mid lane. The rotation all the way from the long side. Able to find the kill with the crush after the fact. Allegiance on top. Wow.
So with those 6 kills right now, Lassiz has 6,000 player damage, close to the 16-minute mark. Tier 1 tower in the soul lane going down for EnVyUs.
Much different story for poor CycloneSpin. I think we got a new 667. It's 395 for Nemesis at 16 minutes. Very low player damage coming out from the in-hand jungler. Kiki's going to fall with Mattypocket on the front side. The Pickler keeping 3 players at bay while Allegiance take down the tower. Matty will trade his life into Xbalanque, but Allegiance are going to get a 16-minute tier 2. And the last couple of basics will be dealt. And Allegiance wind up on top by 6,000 gold.
CycloneSpin trying to find the return kill onto Oceans if he's not careful. Omega's around the corner as he teleports in.
But he's alone.
Getting slowed by the Naja.
There's some damage being dealt to Omega. He's kicked it away. There's 4 members of Allegiance here. Good blink from CycloneSpin. Finds himself above 1,000 damage now, but he's going to be turned on. Shield activated, and Weekend will be... Nah, he'll be fine. I thought Weekend was going to get aggressed on by Omega, but Weekend should generally be fine. Can we please take a look at player damage? Yeah, there it is. Above 1,000. Good job, Cyclone.
So during that fight, a lot of that player damage was actually onto Mattypocket, while you mentioned he was zoning 1v3 members, which allowed Allegiance to find the tower, find another kill after the kill earlier onto Omega as well. So they're taking advantage of these power plays right now. Currently 6 kills onto Lassiz out of 8 for the rest of his team. He's definitely on fire. Elected to go for the Book of Thoth over the spicy Soul Reaver. Now Legions are feeling themselves a little bit with a very comfortable, almost 7,000 gold lead. Gonna start up this Gold Fury. Lassiz is level 17 to Kiki's level 13.
Snoopy shows up, but ultimately can't do much around this Gold Fury. Half HP on the objective already. Eonic on the right, Snoopy on the left. There's the stun. Immediately Purification used, but Allegiance get the Gold Fury. There's the Xbalanque ult. Envy wants to push the gas button, but Eonic by himself, he's lurking in the waters. He's going to chunk out the jungler. He's going to find a little bit more, but there's the Sash, and Mattypocket able to take out Kiki. The follow-up onto Eonic. It's got to find an exit. There's the help from the oceans, and Eonic does wind up with the kill on top of Weaken, but all the while, the rest of the team is dying. Eonic's trying to find a kill solo against the jungler, while the rest of the squad is just dying to the damage put out by Allegiance.
Lassiz just did a lot of damage with his ultimate. Wasn't able to find the other kill. And now Omega going to get cleaned up again. The 4th death on the board for EnVyUs. Allegiance is looking to secure this next win as they're getting the tier 2 tower in the dual lane right now, extending their goal lead even further. However, CycloneSpin trying to poke out a little bit, not going to find it, however.
And again, Weaken the only one on Allegiance's side that died. Sure, he's playing on the Najah, but this is... We speak how Thor can play multiple roles. He's both offensive and defensive. Najah is one of these characters that's very much an offensive assassin, but does offer a lot on the side of utility. And we're seeing that come out of Weaken. He's the only one to die, but he distracts Eonic long enough that Allegiance just wipes the enemy team.
When you don't have the peels necessary from the Sobek tail flip or the pluck as well, then you're not really doing your job as a support. You're chasing a kill onto a utilitarian jungler, which doesn't even matter at the end of the day. You have to worry more about the burst that's coming out of Oceans and Lassiz right now. And Mattypocket's going to go into the backline as well. So you have to peel those characters away from your backline. You get a kill onto Weaken, sure, but at the end of the day, you lose 4 people for that 1 kill.
Especially with CycloneSpin on a character like Nemesis. She brings a lot of... I don't know if I say peel. There's just a lot of slows. There's a lot of things to keep your enemy from aggressing. But once the team Allegiance is behind your enemy lines, CycloneSpin doesn't have the tools that Sobek has. So that's a little bit problematic for Eonic to be found over there looking at Weaken. CycloneSpin just, he's 0-1-1, but finds himself 2,000 gold plus behind his direct opposition. That's just a rough spot for Envy to be in.
It's a rough spot. You lost this many towers. You lost 2 Gold Furies so far in the game. He was doing well earlier on before the objective started going down. However, the teamfights was a way different story as Lassiz was able to be on fire. Now, another 1v1 exchange between Snoopy and Oceans.
Ultimate pop by Snoopy. Oceans now 75. Snoopy very low. Dashing away. Jumping forward is Oceans. Finding the damage and the ultimate. It's good. Oceans on top. In comes the jungler, and CycloneSpin will answer for his first kill of the game, but the entirety of Allegiance is here. Nemesis ultimate popped. Here comes Incon looking for some sort of control without an ultimate, and Lassiz says, what's up? We're 10 kills up, and I'm on top. 8-0-2 for the mid lane Scylla.
2 for 1, favoring Allegiance. EnVyUs do get 2 tier 1 towers in response as Omega was able to split push on the right-hand side. However, Fire Giant is exposed a little bit. We'll see if Allegiance are feeling bold enough to try this 4v3, or if they're going to be more content to try to get the tier 2 tower. However, they do rotate towards the Fire Giant side.
Here, Kiki taking out the gold buff. He's going to be taken to the sky, and this is going to be another dead Zeus. 9 kills unanswered with a death. Without a death, Lassiz having his best game of the season.
Very confident play coming out of Lassiz so far. Level 19 at the 21 minute mark for the mid laner. Playing so confident right now. The way Weaken is setting him up, the way Incon is setting him up. This is a totally different team than we saw the last previous 7 weeks.
Completely. I mean, we're not in the comms, and for all I know, I could be incorrect, but sometimes you can almost see the dejection on Allegiance's gameplay, where you see them go into impossible team fights and situations. And like I said, maybe I'm completely off the mark, but from this seat, it almost seems like Allegiance just wasn't feeling good about playing their games. This is a team that wants to come back tomorrow.
There's also a lot of history between these 2 teams and the players within the 2 teams. So there's a lot more on the line than just a scorecard.
I mean, just recently we saw, there was some words between Weaken and Omega. So these guys definitely want to take this one to the cleaners. Incon being aggressive, knocks one up in the sky, sending Snoopy elsewhere, and the rest of Allegiance going to focus on the tower. Already down to about 25% HP, and everybody's going to follow suit. There's Omega trying to find the kill on Incon, but now he's being separated by Mattypocket.
And Incon's going to be able to run away as their focus
Cyclone
gets
up
onto a different target.
And Cyclone's going to come down. He'll find safety after the damage that was dealt to him by Weaken. Still giving chase. Mattypocket going to be flipped by Eonic. Wonderful play by Envy to collapse, but Mattypocket gets sniped out by Snoopy. Another kill for the Hunter.
A lot of AoE damage at the beginning of that exchange during the Tier 2 tower siege. The Zeus ultimate was held on to a little bit. The Darkest of Nights kind of confused the Legions for the most part, as the chain lightning was good enough to do enough damage. Also, the poison darts coming out of Snoopy. So the way they initiated that with Incon going in, getting one person into the air, it didn't allow Allegiance to really dive past that Tier 2 tower. They were more content with trying to get to the Tier 2 tower instead of going for the kill. So a little bit of a botched initiation, allowing EnVyUs to capitalize on that, even getting a Gold Fury. They're still behind a lot currently, 7,000 gold and 11,000 experience at the 23-minute mark. But so they have to figure out a way to put some sentry wards around the map and look for these kinds of mispositionings out of Allegiance and pick one person off with Eonic.
Incon going to look to pick one person off. Weaken doesn't get the memo and is a little bit off with the stun sash, but Eonic going to knock him up, and here comes Oceans. Couple of more hits and an ultimate, and that's going to be a dead support. Oceans puts one more on his mark, 5-1 and 5 for the rookie Hunter on the side of Allegiance.
With the Sobek dead now, EnVyUs doesn't have the initiation that they need out of the Sobek or the Peel, so they're very vulnerable. This Tier 2 tower has to be conceded by EnVyUs, and they respect the fact that Allegiance has this power play.
Again, we saw what happens to EnVyUs without that ability of Sobek to peel for the team, so this time around, Envy know better, and they're going to let that 1,500 gold go the way of Allegiance. Different story with respect to the Fire Giant, though, Toli. This is a play that Envy have to defend.
They have to defend it, but nobody's in a position currently. The closest member is Omega. His teleport is up, however. They're choosing to give it up. With Eonic being down, they're just going to concede this Fire Giant. Allegiance picking up the Fire Giant.
CycloneSpin walked over to the Gold Fury. Was there vision on the Gold Fury when Envy took that? They know that the Gold Fury's not there. Very curious decision coming out from Envy. I mean, again, I'm going to make you put on your player hat. What was the upside to that? Why did Envy give away the Fire Giant for free?
So the issue was that they didn't have much vision around the Fire Giant. They didn't want to walk around a corner getting baited. A little bit of a trapped minion there, as the Anhur is not going to allow that one melee minion to get any gold for EnVyUs.
What's up, bud? Everybody just saying hi to the minion. Here comes Incon. He wants nothing to do with this tomfoolery. Mattypocket and Lassiz play around with him along with Oceans. And we'll see the team go ahead back. And see, that's exactly what I'm talking about, Toli. They're having fun. You can see that. And I haven't seen these guys have fun on an SPL stage from this seat in a while.
And you kind of need to relieve a little bit of tension like that. Whenever you see something silly like that, and you're already in a position that you're so far ahead with Fire Giant, you can have a little bit of fun like that. You're not really, it's not BM or anything like that. But at the same time, Incon coming back from base is like, all right, guys, let's go back to business. We had our fun. It's time to close the game out. We can't let this Fire Giant expire on us.
Exactly. So Elite is going to go ahead, group up all 5 members here. Laz is in the back, 4 players up in front. Laz is waiting for his opportunity. Weaken off to the side, looking for a snipe of an ultimate. Incon, on the other hand, right in the middle, blinking forward, getting everybody stuck. There's the ultimate, and watch as Lassiz follows up. Here comes the damage, and Lassiz on top, Eonic on bottom. Lassiz in some trouble on the backside along with Oceans, and there's a crit onto the players. Snoopy really swinging, but I'm a monster. It's going to be off the mark. Lassiz can't find it, and neither can Snoopy. 11 kills without a death. The mid laner is absolutely on fire. One more down as Kiki dies. Mattypocket on the good side. 2 players are the only ones available. It's Omega and CycloneSpin. They're tanky, but they're not able to stop the onslaught on the mid Phoenix.
So much damage on the board for Allegiance. 3-for-1 trade so far as the middle Phoenix goes down. The rest of them are trying to get this left side Phoenix. Having 2 Phoenixes down with currently in a 4v2 situation. Allegiance looking very comfortable right now.
Incon very low. He's forced to stay on the outskirts of the team fight. Omega, on the other hand, very confident to just go right up onto Oceans. CycloneSpin brought down to about 40% HP. There's a curse, and it's going to stop Allegiance from going anywhere too fast, but a strong pushback keeps Oceans on top, and the pillar one more time. Envy cannot keep up with the structures and the pushbacks from Allegiance.
So first it was the Impale, and then it was the pillar for the hot disengage coming out of Oceans, and this is what they need out of your new up-and-comer Hunter player. Even though he's new to the scene, he's playing like a very seasoned veteran.
Yeah, I mean, his ability this season has been unquestioned. I think that a lot of people had question marks coming into the season because they didn't know who the hell Oceans was.
Except for the people that were playing ranked with him.
Exactly. And then, you know, from week 2, I would say, Oceans very quickly became acclimated to not just the SPL stage and jitters or whatever we call it, but also just the gameplay, the meta, the game within the game outside of the game, the picks and bans, and was just able to walk up to storied players like CycloneSpin and kill him with a couple of basics and an impale. This guy has never really been shy.
He's not afraid of even taking the 1v1 specifically against Snoopy. Twice he did it. Against Ranked and me specifically, I was testing him as well. He was not afraid to take any 1v1s as well, playing Hu Yi. Very mechanically gifted with knowing where to place the ricochets as well. Playing on her very well as well this game.
Yeah, Ocean's really making a play. I mean, he's one of the strongest rookies we've seen all season, and he's on a lower-end team. 3 rookies on enemy. And honestly, I think depending on the game, Ocean's kind of outshines them.
And Ocean's right now sitting a lot of gold over Snoopy.
That's exactly the way I would have put it as well.
Just a lot of gold.
He's just crushing it.
However, the player damage for both of these hunters at the top of the charts currently. Snoopy is ahead of him in the terms of damage-wise.
Yep.
However, Ocean's at the better end of it in terms of team-wise.
And again, you know, we've spoken a lot about how Weekend has been able to impact Allegiance. This is Snoopy's first game back as well to the SPL, and he has been very positive for Envy, but unfortunately for his team and their fans, has been unable to really deliver what's required to win. He's doing exactly what, let me rephrase that. Snoopy's doing exactly what Snoopy needs to do, but the other members around him aren't putting him in a position to go ahead and carry that to the bank.
And that's probably also due to the way Allegiance is playing this game as well. The way that Weekend and Incon are setting up Lassiz is overshadowing what Snoopy is bringing to the table for EnVyUs currently.
And I mean, Kiki, like I said, he's 0-6-3. That's one of the problems with Zeus, is that he's highly immobile and he's highly susceptible to being ganked. And so he just winds up with a ton of deaths.
And now Allegiance going to start up their second Fire Giant. If EnVyUs gave up the first Fire Giant, they're definitely going to give up the second one, especially with the middle and left side Phoenix of them being down.
And that, you know, this one makes a little bit more sense. Envy clearly have some tending of their own to do to their front yard, and they got to deal with the Phoenixes and the Fire Minions, and so that one definitely, that's a concession that I actually, that's supposed to happen. 10,000 gold in the lead is Allegiance, looking like a completely different team with their recent acquisition of Weekend in the jungle. Allegiance also leading by about 7 kills, excuse me, and just shy of 30 minutes, pushing towards, well, they're the pings. Allegiance is everywhere.
Allegiance is everywhere with the pings. However, they're all grouped up in the middle lane as that Phoenix is respawning. They want to be able to get this for free as Incon does find the blink. The Root Crush doing a lot of damage. Eonic almost taken out instantly as Ocean's trying to get the kill.
And he finds it on Eonic after the moves around and a couple damage coming out onto the Hunter. And Snoopy takes him out. There's the basics. Snoopy looking for another one, but Mantle of Discord stops him in his tracks. Still chasing down the Bellona on the backside. Snoopy trying to fight that one. Meanwhile, it's a 2v1. Kiki and friends dealing with Incon on the front. Fire Giant will heal up some players, although they're very low. Here comes Snoopy, another kill for the Hunter, trying to turn around looking for number 7. Is the Xbalanque. Sanctuary is going to stop the damage from Mattypocket. Snoopy finds the double kill. He's going crazy. CycloneSpin finds one as well. The answer onto ALG is there. Snoopy is the one player that put Envy in the position to win that team fight. 7 kills in total for the Hunter.
We were just talking about him being overshadowed before by the performance of Allegiance. However, now in this situation, even though Eonic fell early on in the team fight, that forced Oceans out of position, allowing Snoopy to isolate him from the rest of the teammate. Mattypocket wasn't able to peel for him the way he needed to, and then later on, he was able to pick off Lassiz. So those 2 hyper carries off the table for Allegiance is a huge pickoffs. Now, keep in mind, the middle and left side Phoenix respawned and went down again. So this doesn't mean that EnVyUs is back into the game. They're still behind a lot of gold right now.
But those are the plays that you need to make to enable yourself to get back
you have
in the game.
You have to look out for these plays. And Snoopy, with his movement speed build, having the Fatalis, having the Blood Shoryuken of Doom, having the Golden Bow mobility as well, is allowing him to chase these kills. And I think he also had speed buff during that encounter, if I'm not mistaken, or did he just pick that up?
No, he had just going a mile a minute. Snoopy out of control here. I mean, you heard me do that. I just lost all of my words. Snoopy comes through and just, that looked like the push that Allegiance could have taken for the win. And Snoopy hard says no. If Snoopy gets 2 kills there, Allegiance gets 3 Phoenixes. If Snoopy gets 3 kills there. Allegiance, they wind up on the top side of a kill. But with Snoopy getting 4 kills, and just putting his team in a position to get 4 separate kills, Allegiance can't do anything. Extremely, extremely well played by Snoopy.
And now with that lasting interaction, Oceans has to be more mindful about his positioning. He doesn't want to get chased down as well. Killing Eonic was really nice in that team fight, but however, if they just let him live and escape in that situation, and it became a 5v5, the rest of Allegiance still would have had Fire Giant. They still would have been able to get the mid-side Phoenix. They still would have been able to position themselves on the left-side Phoenix for the 5v5. So they just need to like respect the fact that he'll get away and then continue on from there.
Up in the air is Eonic. He's half HP. Snoopy's able to answer back with Lassiz. That's going to be one of the more important kills in this team fight. CycloneSpin taking out Weekend as well. 2 dead on the side of Allegiance. Everyone alive and healthy on the side of Envy. Snoopy, Snoopy, Snoopy.
He's being able to isolate Lassiz in that team fight was really huge. His mobility is so difficult to lock him down right now. How can you land a root crush combo onto something that moves this quickly, especially when you're consistently landing those in-hands, proccing your Wind Demon as well?
Again, the fight, not the last one, but the one prior where Snoopy winds up with a bunch of kills, that's not enough to put Envy back in the game. But it's enough to put Envy in the position to take that fight that we just saw. This last one, it's enough to put Envy in the game, but not enough to make them win. Now these 2 towers, Envy are just putting themselves, again, more and more in a position where they're not looking down the barrel of a gun anymore. Allegiance had the lead and the momentum. This time around, you can see the lead being chipped away, and thanks to Snoopy, Envy has the wind in their sails.
Right now, Allegiance, the experience lead doesn't matter. Everybody's getting to that level 20 mark, 33 minutes into the game. The gold is a big factor, you know, 7,500 gold or so. It doesn't allow full builds for some characters for EnVyUs. However, it's what's more important is the positioning coming out of these team fights. You can't get isolated, especially from a high burst, high mobility god from Xbalanque. So Allegiance going to have to play super careful. They still have the middle and left side Phoenix advantage. EnVyUs getting the mid towers, but I don't know if EnVyUs is going to be able to defend this Fire Giant still.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look at that one, just keeping a hyper focus on Snoopy again. Trades out his Ikoval for the Titan's Bane. So Snoopy will be able to deal more damage to these Phoenixes, should Envy get to that position. Fire Giant has been spawned. Allegiance are all positioned around it. Snoopy is available around, but he will not defend the Fire Giant. One more time, the big man goes for free to the way of Allegiance.
He goes away for free. He was more content about picking up that speed buff, and now in this team fight, he's going to try to do what he did in the last 2 team fights, and that's isolate a squishy target, whether it's Lassiz or Oceans. He needs to come in from the side or at the right timing to get that 1v1 trade, and it's going to be a pure mechanical skills matchup. Who's going to land their in-hands? Who's going to hit their abilities first?
Envy has adjusted to Allegiance's not really strategy, just Lassiz go off and do your thing, and Envy has tried to make the adjustment, and now they're focusing Lassiz in these fights, Snoopy specifically. Allegiance needs to adjust and adapt back, and we need to see a little bit more peel for the mid lane Scylla if we want to see the same results in these team fights. Incon knocks one up, Snoopy with the immediate Sanctuary, so Allegiance understand they've got to start focusing the Xbalanque, but Incon, half HP or below already. There's the jump forward from Omega, rooted as the support, but overall, he should be fine.
With that initiation, that was the target that they wanted. They recognized that Snoopy was the problem and that they wanted to get him out of the team fight. They forced an earlier Sanctuary. The ultimate from Lassiz was used as well, but the ultimate from Lassiz will come back before the Sanctuary from Snoopy, so they're going to use that to their advantage. A little bit of a split between the rest of Allegiance as Weekend goes to the right-hand side. Trying to get the left side Phoenix is the other 4 members.
And I like that play coming out from Weekend, pushing up on the right side, forcing the response from Envy to go and see what the Naja is doing. Gives a little bit of time for Allegiance to focus on the left side Phoenix.
And now they don't really have the same engage that they did as Allegiance. They don't have the blink ultimate from Incon right now. They have to be very mindful. They need to set up Lassiz with the roots right there. Whether he sets himself up or whether Incon will set him up, they have to play very careful. They don't want to get caught out of position.
Purification available for the Zeus. Purification available for Snoopy, and Purification available for the Nemesis. So all 3 Puries available and ready to be used from the guys on Envy. So Allegiance, should they find some crowd control, it likely will be shed. There's the Mez, and blinking in his Weekend. He's going to take the mid lane Zeus to the sky. Here's up in the ultimate is the Lassiz, and he's going to try and find the follow-up, but a strong ultimate out of Snoopy is good enough to stop the onslaught.
Kiki's zoned out from the steam pipe very low. Snoopy's going to retreat as well, getting body blocked a little bit. We have Eonic going into lurk in the waters. Left side Phoenix is still standing for now.
Zeus ultimate forced out in less of an ideal situation. Ocean's able to take out Eonic, and the Firebird's still up, but just barely. There's the last hit. And Allegiance have taken out the left and the mid lane Phoenix.
And this is the kind of slow and methodical pace that Allegiance needs to do in order to close out this game. They find the pick, and now they have to be able to get this last remaining Phoenix. If they can find 2 more picks here, they can easily close out this game.
And judging from the way judging from the way Allegiance have been playing, those 2 picks are definitely more likely than not. Snoopy waiting in the corner, seeing if he can get a couple of okey-doke hits.
He needs to be very careful because he doesn't have his Sanctuary available.
Sash good. Knock up strong as well. There's the follow-up. See you later, Snoopy. Weekend hits him right in the face with a ring toss. Omega's in some trouble as well, surrounded by members of Allegiance. CycloneSpin going to try and get aggressive, but Weekend says no this time around, taking Cyclone to the sky. Laz is able to answer. There are the 2 picks you asked for, Toli, and it looks like Allegiance are going to do you better and take out another one. The Titans under attack one more time. Allegiance with 24 kills on the kill chart. Wind up with the win. Welcome back to the SPL Weekend.
Welcome back, Weekend. Welcome back, Lassiz, as well. The way he's playing, that was an MVP performance coming out of him. Just constantly getting set up, hitting those ultimates as well, forcing the Sanctuaries, doing so much damage.
And I mean, like I said, a large part of that, it's not Weekend on the team, here comes the superstar. It's Weekend's I want you to expand on this.
So
Weekend's like what Weekend brings to the team.
The leadership, like I mentioned before, being paired up back with Incon the way they used to play as well, having the front line, allowing Lassiz to play from behind, and just supporting with the artillery, the crushes, the roots as well, the Alma monsters doing so much damage. And now with that 2 for nothing, that's going to put Allegiance tied with EnVyUs in the standings at 7 and 15 each.
That's a big jump coming out from the guys on the side of ALG. Keep in mind, the bottom 2 teams will get relegated out towards the end of the season, so nobody wants to be number 7 and number 8, and Allegiance will jump right out of there in 6 because they split the last time they played, and Allegiance wind up with a 2-0 today, which means they are solidified in 6. The tiebreaker is the head-to-head matchup. So Allegiance have 3-1, and they'll be seated nicely above Envy. But I want to talk about the guys on Envy, specifically Snoopy. I mean, Snoopy wound up with 2 losses in his return to the SPL, but certainly played a lot better than that might dictate.
Definitely played a lot better, made some very highlight plays necessary in that game number 2 specifically that we saw.
Oh, yeah.
Being able to isolate targets is very uncommon to see for a hunter, but whenever you're chasing down a support, then you're going to be able to find those kills. Also, providing the shelter from the Xbalanque ultimate was very necessary for his team. So even though he didn't play the aggressive early game hunter, he was able to be very patient with that Xbalanque. Similar to like the first game with the Soul, he was very quiet. He was establishing a little lead slowly and surely. Unfortunately, his team just didn't have the same lead that he did.
Overall, I think both of these teams are in a much better position now than they were previously. So these guys should just trend upwards. With the addition of Weekend on Allegiance bringing immediate wins, and Snoopy on the side of Envy bringing some wins a little bit later. So with tomorrow, we've got Europe on the docket. Cringe Crew will take on Hungry for More. That one's pretty interesting. Team Dignitas versus Torpedo, and then Paradigm versus Panthera.
And on Saturday's games, we don't have any Saturday games on the screen, but we will have Saturday games later.
We do have some Saturday games, of course. We'll update you on them a little bit later, specifically tomorrow during our broadcast. Of course, if you're curious about them now, you can visit us at esports.smitegame.com, or, as always, follow us on Twitter at SmitePro. That's going to do it for our North American broadcast today for week number 8. We'll move on to Europe tomorrow, and then, of course, the weekend. For everybody here at hi-rez Studios, myself, Anatoly, Dry Bear, and even Peckies, have a wonderful Thursday.